Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Members Only Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel and you're watching it after the fact, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to join in with one of these live streams in the live chat and become a Nathan Oakley 1980 member. So with that, I'm going to say there is already a panel in both Gilded and G+, so I'll hand over to them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't know. Yeah.
But if they had some humility, maybe they would know or would learn.
Well, let me put it this way. QE, right? This is, I don't know if the word rhetorical is the right word for this question, but you know, you've worked within real mainstream science. You know.
Now, Nathan.
Pardon?
The sound's come back on Gilded.
I did say I'm going to mute.
We were rudely interrupted again, Brian, because of technical difficulties.
There's no difficulties. I know what I'm doing now. Yesterday wasn't the case, but now I can be quite abrupt about it.
I know what I'm doing now.
Neil is here too.
Go ahead, Brian. Ask your rhetorical question that I'm going to answer.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not rhetorical, but could I go to somebody who is, let's just say, working in one of the real sciences and start schooling that person on what they're doing? What would be the chances of me going to somebody who's a biochemist or something, you know, or a chemist, Adam? What is the chances of me not knowing Adam and going in and start telling Adam about what he does and how he doesn't know what he's talking about? It would be absolutely impossible.
There'd be no chance. It'd be no chance. Security would be called.
Hell yeah, get white jackets. Get me out of there. I mean, there's nobody would even ever do that. I would never feel confident enough in anything I'd learn online or anywhere else from books that I could walk in and start telling a chemist what to do. That person is a qualified chemist who has a career in chemistry and they have been a chemist for X amount of time. I could not do that. I wouldn't even dream of doing that. You know, You'd ask the chemist a question. You wouldn't do that. Then how come someone who's in my position can do that with one of these PhD astronomers? It tells you how weak their discipline is.
Yep. You got it. Yes. That's the point. That's the whole point. That's the overriding point that hopefully comes shining through to even people that can't fog a mirror.
But isn't that where humility comes in?
Not humility. Humility doesn't have anything to do with it. It's your station in life. It's realizing a man has to understand, has to realize his limitations.
Dirty Harry, yeah. Yeah. A man's got to know his limitations, yeah.
I'm saying if they were humble, they would understand that. Okay?
Humbleness don't have anything to do with it. It's just basic fucking common sense.
I have to say, I am more and more.
Yeah, but they're prideful.
Sorry. I was just saying that.
Hold on a second, Brian.
Okay,
now they're prideful. So we got humbleness and prideful. It's not humbleness. It's not pride. It's just fucking Dunning-Kruger stupidity.
I'm trying to help him out here a little bit. Give him a break.
I'm not giving you a break.
They don't deserve a break. They don't deserve a break because it's akin to me opening up a garage and telling people they can come and I'll fix their cars and I don't have a clue about what I'm doing.
Exactly.
It's akin to that, right? Me pretending to be a mechanic. I'll just use mechanic. I won't even go as far as a chemist like Adam. Just a mechanic. Me pretending to be the same as a mechanic when I don't have a clue what I'm doing. I'm literally just taking parts out and putting them back in and not knowing what I'm doing, right? I more and more understand why it makes you so angry and why it might make other people angry, because it's not science, It's complete and utter speculation and nonsense. There's no honesty involved in it. And these people use their credentials as a weapon against people, an intellectual weapon against people.
Yep. Well, it gets down to, remember I said, my mission has always been, when I first stepped out here, long before Flat Earth, this was mainly pointed towards evolutionists, but anyone in general. It became that about 2 weeks after I was out here. It became, my mission was very clear. And it was brought to me from on high. Expose pretender clown frauds. Period. End of story. I'm not prejudiced. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are, where you're at, how much money you got. Doesn't matter. None of those things are they're all irrelevant. Are you genuine or are you a pretender clown? If you're a pretender clown, I'm gonna bust you. You're gonna get busted, and it's not gonna be pretty. That's it.
Well, in any other discipline, I mean, as I'll use the mechanic example again, I would be arrested for impersonating myself as being a mechanic, if you know what I mean, because they're basically impersonating being a scientist.
Yep.
Like, they might be astronomers, that's fine, but when they go step outside of that, sorry.
There's a word for that.
Come on, Nathan.
Fraud.
Yeah, exactly. Pretender clown fraud.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but Brian, you can be a mechanic. You don't have to do anything, mate. You just have to observe the problem. That's all you have to do. Observe it.
Observe it. Yeah. It's okay,
that is their excuse strapped onto a mechanic. It does make a lot more farcical sense, if you know what I mean.
Well, if we look at the PhDs that have turned up in this arena on our opposing side, if we look at the amount of them that have turned up over the years, not a large amount, but they have turned up. The Danny Faulkners and whoever, as this guy Rob Parks and some others, Tony Purcell. The majority of, like, none of them are representing any discipline that you could call real science. They're representing something that's put under the blanket or the umbrella of science, but they're not scientists themselves. They just have a PhD. When has anyone come forward to challenge us who is a chemist, let's just say, or someone working in something that is science? They're not doing that. None of these people are coming towards us.
What's the name of What's the name of the guitarist in Queen?
Yeah, he's an astrophysicist.
Brian May.
Brian May.
Brian May.
Right, astrophysicist. Sorry to interrupt you, Brian. I just like to drop that in. I happened to watch the Queen film yesterday.
That's helpful to the discussion there, Nathan. Did you have a point with that?
Nah, I just watched the Queen movie.
Did you?
I did. It was really good. Sorry, Brian.
Well,
no, you're not. He doesn't have to go on. You're not going to get anything from any of the actual sciences, the natural sciences. No one's going to come out here from them. They're not making any claims. You might get one or two here and there, like biochemists would come out, especially with evolution. You may get one or two. I found about 5 notable biochemists. And again, this is a different subject, into evolution, which was pretty surprising to me because I'll just tear them to shreds. Anyone with any biochemistry background would tear them to shreds. But anyway, you're not going to get any of the people from actual sciences coming out here and discussing the nature of our reality in a heliocentric model sense. It's not going to happen. Now, they might come out here to say, okay, this is science and this is not science. But why would they do that? Follow?
Yeah. I reckon that you have to have a certain discipline or humbleness or whatever, that when you do that as a reality, that you deal with reality. You are actually doing experiments, natural science experiments. You're actually using the scientific method within your work. So when you step outside of that, why would you be stepping into an arena where it involves things that you're not really schooled up on. You know what I mean? You might be schooled up on some parts of it, but you're not schooled up on geometry or this thing or that thing. So we're not going to do it.
Right. Right. They're too smart for that. Why would they do that?
Right, they've got
Yeah,
magicians
why would
to.
they?
They've got magician frontmen like Tyson that take up
Yep.
all that slack.
Yep. Even if they are stone cold heliocentrics, they're not going to come out here and compromise themselves, because that's what's going to happen. If you would have a biochemist, a physicist, quantum mechanics, by the way, biologists, I don't know what they would speak of in this genre, but if they come out, they're going to get compromised. If they don't know that by now, that's why they're not coming out here. They do know that, because sooner or later they're going to run into me. Sooner or later, I'm going to catch them. Right? They should get it by now.
Well,
They don't. Now,
Sorry.
a couple chemists have come up now on Discord. I've ran into a couple actual chemists that things didn't go all too well for them.
Like when
I'm
you
just
say
saying.
it's not the actual chemist bit that's exciting. It's the chemist asserting heliocentric faith, correct?
Yeah, and some of the things that I said, especially regarding science, we don't really get into chemistry, right? Because it's not gonna work out well for them there. Some of the things just in general, the science category, and the biggest one I told you was natural law versus actual scientific theories. See, a lot of them, they, from my experience, they don't get that part, right? They think that, like the laws of thermodynamics, Newtonian laws, that they're actual science. And when I break it down for them and show that it's not, and people are listening, now maybe it would have been different if I would have just spoke to them directly. But pride gets in the way because they know that they're compromised. You follow?
Not really.
If
Yeah, I
people
do.
are listening,
I do.
if people are listening, let's say we got a group of this happened. There was me and this chemist, or the chemist was in this room in Discord, and this was a couple years ago, and there was maybe 6 to 10 people in the hangout, and it was a friendly hangout. It was a bunch of flat earthers. And I was just sitting in there. I was just had it on for background noise, and I was doing something else. And the chemist come in, and he started talking, and a lot of his things were correct. Obviously they would be. And I was just la di da di da doing my thing when somebody in the group brought up natural law and how it's not science. And of course, he doth protest. And when he did, then I doth protest. How about that?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But now it's all too public. It's not just you're just another name in a Discord chat. They know who you are, or if they've even investigated the arena, they'll know who you are, and they'll know they've been compromised if they come across your path, which they will if they're in this pond.
Yep. Now I wasn't nasty to him. I know he's
Hold
not
on.
a pretender.
You don't have to give this disclaimer.
Yeah, but I wasn't nasty. Yeah, I do. I wasn't nasty to him. If you ever see or hear me with a alleged scientist or somebody who has a degree in natural science, right? I'll know right away if he does or he doesn't. Number one. Number two, he's not a pretender clown to me. See, where I get fucking irate is when I sense pretender clown fraud, I'm gonna go off on you. Now, if it's somebody, I was telling him in a way that would show him that maybe he hasn't thought about this, quite thoroughly or thought it through. And I was trying to, say, okay, here, you understand what science is. This is an experiment. Let's take a look at the second law of thermodynamics and just give of course, I went into much greater depth, but in the end, I said, can you give me the hypothesis for the second law of thermodynamics for entropy? That's where, see, and then pride stepped in because he knew he was compromised then. Anyone with any intellect knows that they're their goose is cooked, right? So he started getting fucking irate. And at that point, you're going to be shocked at this. I just let it go. And all the other people in the hangout started dogging him out. So there you go. That's the short story.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you know, I understand why. A lot of these claim PhD let's say false scientists, why they kind of dip their toe in here, but they don't come this direction. Let's say you can come into the flat Earth, globe Earth arena, and there's certain pathways you can take that will lead to certain locations, and they don't come to this particular location because they know that even if you're not here, QE, they know Nathan is here and Adam is here and the rest of John and the rest of us are here, and that we do have knowledge. And I've been accused in the past, more or less accused, not word for word, not verbatim, but like of being a QE yes man. I'm not a QE yes man. Do you know what I mean? It's like, if what am I supposed to do? When am I supposed to disagree? You know what I mean? If something is a true statement, it's a true statement. So why would I be disagreeing? So, you know, this kind of thing. It's like, we've been accused, not just me, other people on the panel, of being just yes men. It's like, we're not yes men. We're not going to disagree with something that is a proven fact. You know, we don't know the cause of entropy. So we're not going to disagree if you say the cause of entropy is not known. I'm not going to go, well, maybe, but I'm not going to do that.
Well, Brian, I've been accused of being a yes man too with Witsit, and accused of agreeing with liars. And I said, show me where they're lying. And they just can't show me where they're lying.
Yes, man. Don't think I am. Nathan, are we yes, man?
Yes.
We're a yes, man. There you go, you say. Thank you. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to say. That's nonsense, right? It's just a week thing, isn't it? I ain't to distract, or we're all just part of a cult. You know what I mean?
Now, just ask Adam. Adam, how long does it take you? Let's say a new person comes into a room. How long does it take you to figure out this guy is a fucking pretender clown fraud? Let me give you a multiple choice. 1, 3, or 5 seconds.
Depends how quickly they speak.
Yeah.
Generally, you can tell from pretty quick from the approach they take.
Yeah. Not only the approach, but the words that are coming out of my mouth. I know. Say again?
Who's causing feedback?
No. You? Can we continue?
I was just getting feedback and I didn't know it was.
You?
I'd say it was just as Adam was muting, QE was speaking.
So it was Adam. I knew it. I knew it.
Adam.
Bloody chemists. We didn't want to say anything while we were talking badly of chemists, but this is just typical.
Yeah.
If Nathan says it was me, then I'll just have to accept that, won't I? As a yes, man.
Yes, Adam. Yes.
So now that we had that interrupted, lost my train of thought. So everyone. I got something. So he said 1, 3, or 5 seconds. It depends on how fast they talk. I was going to say that I know if you've been university trained within the first 5 seconds of you speaking. I already know that. I can already tell. So the next statements to come out of your mouth, if there are any claims, I already know pretty much all the pedigree information that I need to know. And if I sense pretender clown, I'm not suffering frauds or fools. It's just not going to fucking happen. Hey?
Yeah, so when someone... Sorry.
So no, you'll hear my demeanor change abruptly, right? I'm not trying to justify it. I'm just trying to... I'm just telling you what happens.
Natural reaction.
You come out here, if I sense, right, that you're portraying yourself as some type of something that you're not, especially academically, it's fucking curtains. in a bad. I've got malicious intent. Yeah. Have you sensed that before?
Yeah, I can hear it when you even when you're joking with your assessment of like the likes of this Rob Parks guy. I can hear you get angry when you know that this person is saying in public, telling people that they're wrong about something that is they're obviously like. For instance, what annoyed me was when he was asking Anthony to produce a citation that states that the IV has to be part of a natural science experiment. It's like, no, you produce a citation that it isn't part of it. That's the citation. And then we'll go and see who wrote that.
Oh, no, that's not reasonable. No. And if Anthony claims, as he would, and I would, that you need an independent variable to perform a scientific experiment, and he says, give me a citation, why is that unreasonable?
It's not. He's making a positive claim. Yes, it's not. He's making a positive claim. So Anthony has to support it. Now, Anthony wasn't quite prepared, right? Which irritated me a little bit, but that's all right. That gives me a chance to go back and square up matters. Even now, on the face of it, even when he says that, the astronomer, he's just compromised himself, right? Because we all know that you must have an independent, dependent variable in a hypothesis, and especially an experiment, right? So he's already compromised, correct?
Yeah, but that's why. But
just before we move past it, because I just don't want to move past it. So I'm quickly scrubbing through what I would have provided. But what would you have suggested would have been a better outcome? I'm asking Brian as opposed to you, QE, just because you objected. Okay. You without using the fallacy you used, which was to reverse the burden of proof, and ask him to prove something that doesn't exist either. Say, just to cite that you don't need something is nigh on impossible.
Yeah, well, why I would use the fallacy of the burden of proof reversal there, and why I would feel justified by it, is this man is claiming to be a PhD scientist, and he's asking me to produce a citation. Well, it was Anthony, let's just say, but if it was me, asking me to produce a citation that the IV isn't part of every science experiment, natural science experiment, or doesn't need to be included in every natural science experiment. Like his claim, he's asking me, like because he's basically claiming that the IV is not important, and he's also claiming to be a PhD scientist. So at that point, I would feel justified to reverse the burden of proof and say, okay, you're a scientist by your own words. You have a PhD and you're calling yourself a scientist, and you're stating that the IV doesn't need to be part of every natural science experiment. So you produced a citation of to support that claim, and then we will find out if the citation exists, and if it does, who is written this citation.
Let's see if I can meet your demand. Hold on, I'll do it on Anthony's behalf, just to play out this scenario. Okay, no worries. Call your bluff. Definition of natural science from Oxford Dictionary. Okay. Existing or derived from... Oh, no, that's natural, sorry. Any of the sciences, such as physics, chemistry, or biology, that deal with matter, energy, and their interrelations and transformations, or with objectivity, measurable phenomena. Merriam-Webster.
Yeah, but that is not... What the man was stating was looking for... What the man was asking Anthony to produce was a citation that stated that
you've said,
every natural science experiment needed an IV.
I get that. You don't have to summarise it again. Yeah, but you've said, no, he should produce one that shows that you don't need an independent variable. Well, I've just given you a definition of natural science from Merriam-Webster. Sorry, it wasn't from Oxford. And
yeah, but that's not specific to the question.
Brian, and it didn't explicitly state anything about needing an independent variable in it. But it's very much defining what natural science is, isn't it?
Yeah, but we're talking about the actual experiment. Not an overall definition of natural science. We're talking about the actual experiment, because he was focused on the actual hypothesis test and the actual experiment. He was looking for Anthony to produce a citation that stated that at experiment stage that you don't need an IV. To produce a citation that stated that you always needed an IV. That's what he was looking for Anthony to produce. So then we're talking about the actual experiment itself. he's claiming to be a PhD scientist. So at that point, I would feel totally justified to reverse the burden of proof back on him, as he's claiming to be a scientist, he's claiming to be a PhD. So now I want him to further completely compromise
Okay,
himself.
okay. You've
and
summarised
try-
this 3 times. We
Yeah.
got that. We got that. Okay, but just to fulfil your, to satisfy you, I'm scrubbing now on page 6 or something of my citations, most of which have been stolen from QE. I've got to be honest. I don't have one, right? So if I was Anthony, because what caught me was QE saying I was disappointed he wasn't prepared enough, and I'm like, would I have been? Let's go and see what I would have dug up in a pinch. Well, a pinch was a while back, and I've come up short, Brian. I've got to be honest.
Yeah, but the citation he's asking Anthony for, he knows doesn't exist, because nobody's going to write that citation because they learn scientific method in high school. There's no one in university going to be writing a site or who's gone through university and has a PhD.
I appreciate that. No.
No one's going to be writing that.
I agree.
He knows that.
I agree, and I know that to be the case. The reason is because upon citation that showed explicitly, or it might not have been explicitly, but showed that you need an independent variable. I think I asked early on if I could have it, and QE said no. And his explanation was, this was really hard to find. And I asked him, and he explained, like you've just explained, that bearing in mind that the scientific method is taught to you at a very early age, it is expected, if you're going to go into any actual science, that you would understand that you need a presumed cause, and that will be varied by you, the researcher, otherwise known as an independent variable. It is expected that you'd know that. So to find it actually written down is actually not an easy thing to find. And that's your point, right? That is the standard, and if you don't know that and you're claiming to be a PhD scientist, then heaven help you. I understand your point, but I'm trying to just satisfy what you've said in response to that, which is, no, I'll reverse the burden of proof. But the objection from me is, no, based on what Anthony said, and I did actually get to that bit, he has made a positive claim. Now, it doesn't matter that it's difficult to cite or that it's known that we understood it from very early age, and it's difficult to find one because people wouldn't explicitly state it because it is just what it is. That doesn't matter. He still made a positive claim. If I was in his position, I would come up short to actually satisfy the guy's request for citation in that regard. Now, I don't know if that's the same case for you. I just want to be honest and say, okay, I've said you need an independent variable thousands of times, right? But when I explain why, that isn't the same as being asked for a citation. Now, I'd brush that off, no worries, and explain why you need it, as opposed to needing a citation for it, because my argument's not my citation, and I can explain why you need an independent variable without any difficulty. I wouldn't be in a position to be asked for a citation, as far as I'm concerned, but Anthony was. So that's where we're at. Now, I can't just accept that you go, I'll just reverse the burden, tell him to find one that shows that you don't need one. That's not satisfactory. I'd rather Anthony could just slap a citation down, as he's in a position to be making a positive claim about it and not have anything to back it up with.
Yeah, but it was the specific citation he asked Anthony for. He didn't ask Anthony to produce a citation where it stated that in a science experiment you have an IV and DV, because they are available. Anthony did have them available, but what he actually asked Anthony was to produce a citation that states that you always require an IV in an actual science experiment.
No, not always. He said that it must have an independent dependent variable.
Yeah, well, is that not the same thing as always?
No, must.
I mean, but your response to that, QE, in your assessment was, show me a citation that bread must have carbohydrates.
That's right.
You know, you'll never find that citation.
But that's the response then, isn't it? No, that is the response then. Well, I'm just looking at it at the wrong angle. So I'm thinking, how do I provide a citation? And you're explaining, this is stupid. Why would you need to cite this? This is just, that's how it is. It's well and truly known. And forget about the fact that it's difficult to find. QE's response is to say, find me a citation that sugar has calories.
You could find that.
I'm sure you could, but I just wanted to give something different.
I would just cite the scientific method. because
I've just tried that. I tried that, didn't I? Oh, you see if you do better than I did. I had two. One was defining
if
natural, the other was
QE
from Merriam-Webster to define what natural science was.
QE just pulls up his 4 or 5 steps, that's what I would cite, and then ask the question, okay, so how do I perform this without an independent variable? What would I do?
Yeah, but that still, if I was on that guy's side, that wouldn't satisfy what I asked for. See, he asked for a citation. See, you can produce that citation for a slightly different question, but he asked for a citation that he knows does not exist.
How do you know that?
So
Defining
that's why
motive. You don't know that.
he does know it doesn't exist because he knows that it's something that nobody would have made a citation for. That's why QE's response is, show me a citation. He asked your man in his next stream to produce a citation that bread must have carbohydrates. QE knows that citation doesn't exist because this guy knew that this, what he was asking Anthony for doesn't exist. So he's asking Anthony, if I was in his position, Anthony's position, I would view it as that guy asking me to produce something that he is well aware of does not exist. How can I produce the non-existence of something? I can't produce something that doesn't exist. So that's what he was asking. So at that point, I'd have zero problem with reversing the burden of proof, because he's claiming to be a scientist. I'm not claiming to be a scientist. He has a PhD, he's claiming to be a scientist, claiming to teach people in a university, to be a lecturer or whatever. He's claiming this, that because if you have to bring it into context, what he's arguing against. He's arguing against scientific method. So at that point, I'd reverse it straight back on him, and I'd have zero guilt about
it. Yeah, but I can produce that, by the way, and
I'm
I
sure
did.
you could, and I kind of knew in the back of my mind that at some point you'd say that, but having been told that it's difficult to find and not pestered you after the fact to give it me, I haven't got it. So I'm just pointing out that you can object all you like to him using it in a way that you don't like, and you can say, well, I'd fight fallacy with fallacy. Well, he hasn't used a fallacy.
But I don't know, but it's not about I'm not saying he has used the fallacy. It's that he's asked me to, he's asked Anthony to produce something that he knows Anthony won't be able to produce. So, I mean, I wouldn't care. I'd reverse that burden straight away. I'd say I'd let you're asking me to produce something, a citation that was never written because there's no need to write that. So I'd ask him to produce the citation as he is, and I'd ask him. It seems as he's a scientist, he can write his own citation if he wants, and I'd accept that as his citation. That is stuck with him forever. The idiot. You know what I mean? That would be what I'd be doing. That would be my point.
Here's that citation that I used right here, Open Text BC. So notice that the manipulation of an independent variable must involve the active intervention of the researcher. So if the active intervention of the researcher must involve the active manipulation of that independent variable, then the independent variable must be part of the experiment. See how I did that?
Yeah. Not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. Yeah. See that? You see that? That's how I did it. It's very easy. In this sense.
But,
Yeah.
What I would say,
Look at the rest of them. Hold on a second. But hold on. Look at the rest of them. I mean, if you're asking what an experiment is, it's a law of identity violation if you don't have to have the word must, because it's already inherently part of it. Follow? From Penn State, there should be 3 categories of variables in every experiment: dependent, independent, controlled. Right? Once I go through all of these, explorable, Anne-Marie Helmstein, my tutor, GCSE, Institute of Physics, BioLibreText, the Office of Research and Integrity, that's a good one. Department of Health and Human Services, National Science Teachers Association, University of North Carolina, and then the hammer from Open Text. Once you take those as a whole, then if it's not a part of an experiment, the independent variable, then you have a law of identity violation on your hands on his part. All
John, we started earlier, you saying, how do you sniff out a bullshitter? And genuinely, that kind of question, you heard my response, was it's just to go to the facts and then say, please explain. Well, exactly what you've got there is perfect. Please explain your point, because it seems to be in contradiction to what you're actually describing, with your scientific method. These are the constituent components, all of them. Yeah, they need to be there for you to be able to do this. So I'll just have to ask him, having something like that just outlines the process. How do you do it without it? And I say, somebody who's genuine, they're not bullshitting around that, are you? You just accept it and you work within those parameters. You don't try and bend stuff, or like Brian said, it's very, what's the point? It's disingenuous approach. And that, like I say, probably 5 seconds then in this case.
Yep.
Well, Adam, I would take that route also, where I'd be asking him, okay, I would ask him how he would do. I would give him a scenario and ask him how he would go about finding out the cause,
It wouldn't be a defensive, it'd be like the response would be incredulity, I'd be absolutely shocked, and I'd be asking him, you've got to explain, mate, because frankly, you're contradicting everything we've learned. So you're going to have to you're the one that's making the claim. I know we started with Nathan saying that Anthony's made a claim. He's not. He's just stating the scientific method. And this guy said, show me there where it isn't. Well, I think as Brian started, it's because this is such a basic thing, it's incumbent on him to demonstrate where he feels you can mitigate within the scientific method to not have an independent variable. And that's the reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, how can he, like, I'd be questioning him along the lines of, how can you then do it without that? How do you find the cause to the effect without that? You have a natural effect, naturally observed effect. How do you find the natural cause of that then? Without that method, what method do you use? You know what I mean? I'll leave him just bury himself further, because anyone worth their salt who's a PhD within what they claim to be some branch of science is not going to argue against scientific method. Nathan, you want to say something?
No, I was just coughing.
I have a first cousin, and I'm not going to say his name, obviously. But him and both him and my sister are my first cousins. Both of them have PhDs. I'm not sure exactly. Sorry.
And what?
I'm not. I'll get into that. I'm not sure exactly what it is. My female cousin has her PhD in, but I know it's something worthwhile, because they went to Japan back in the 80s and solved a massive problem within Japan's infrastructure or something, communications. So she definitely knows what she definitely has something worth. I'm not sure if it's a science or what it is, but she knows what she's talking about, right? She's not a pretender, but I don't know what it is. Her brother, he is one of the best, if not the most respected nuclear safety officers in the world, or Europe, or the world. Right, so that's what he does. Now, she calls him Homer Simpson, and he laughs about it, right? Because Homer Simpson was a nuclear safety officer. But I know he spent a long time in university and a long time learning after that to get to the point he's at. The point I'm making is, me, certainly not. I wouldn't say she would get involved anyway, but he was never going to turn up on Discord telling people I'm a PhD scientist and I'll tell you all about the globe. He's never ever going to do that. Like, just no way would he ever do that. If he was to speak to me about it, he'd have a genuine conversation with me about it.
Yeah, that's
So-
another point I was going to raise. If academics are talking, people don't go, "I've got this." You know, that's often a big tell.
Yeah.
Like for the best example is Professor Dave, who's not even a professor, and to come onto the internet and claim you've got these things, whether you are or you aren't, it's just nonsense, isn't it? As if it means something. Generally, to me, yeah, if somebody starts spouting that kind of stuff, it's a sweetening of the well prep, isn't it? Please believe me, because I've got these credentials.
You're gonna hear that again, by the way, directly. Norm is gonna tell you something completely fucking stupid, and because he is a civil engineer. Get ready. Directly. Yep, that's exactly what you're talking about. Wait till you hear it. Did I interrupt you, Adam? You wanted to go somewhere else?
Clearly not.
I wanted to take time out and stop right here because this is going to come up on the show too. This is pretty good. Are you guys seeing this? This is from Max Born with Mass. Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
In ordinary language, the word mass denotes something like the amount of substance or quantity of matter, these concepts themselves being defined no further. The concept of substance is considered self-evident. In physics, however, as we must very strongly emphasize, the word mass has no fucking meaning. Now, if Max was tactical, he would have perioded that right there and fucking stop, but he didn't. That wasn't too smart of him. So when he says the word mass has no meaning in physics, he then says, other than that given by formula. Let's take that one. Okay, as we already know, physics is not mathematics. So that's almost, it's not almost, it's a red herring fallacy. Funny he didn't put the formula in. There's the reference right there. I would have liked to seen the formula because you're going to run into some big friggin' problems with that statement right there in formula. Because, well, there's a number, like I said, a number of different, well, you have a number of different formulas, right? What about this one? There's the M, right? What about this one? Which formula is he talking about? Because
Yeah, you see, that's I was thinking the bottom one, John, something like that. And I would say he's wrong in the sense that it's not really a M, it's a W when it comes back into the world of physics and the real world. So if you're going to do that, like I was doing, if I'm doing a calculation, how much drug do I need to work out, and I'm using M mass based on its molecular composition. When I pull that back into the real world, I might write as I derive my formula M equals, and that's the amount I'm going to weigh out. But my point is, it's no longer an M, it's a W, and therefore that other than formula isn't strictly true because you're not extracting mass back into the real world. You're just using mass as a formulaic concept to work out how much weight of something you want.
So what are we going to do here? What we got here? We got mass equals what? From this formula.
Density times volume.
Oh, did I spell it? What is it?
Density times volume.
Would it not be more correct to say that mass equals formula?
Density. Yep, that's what it would be. So what? So we're just operating on this statement right here. Other than that, given by formula. Okay. Number one, my first question to Max is which formula? Does this equal this? It better, or you're dead in the middle of an equivocation fallacy from the Black Lagoon. Does everyone see that? Yes.
Oh yeah.
You got big friggin' problems right here, brother, from this statement right here. Now let's move on to the next. It is the measure of the resistance to changes in velocity. Where's that in formula? Is it this one?
Hold up, can't we derive that formula a bit?
No, hold on. It is the measure of the resistance to changes in velocity. What's that definition of?
That's something physical, is it not?
Inertia,
Inertia.
isn't it? Is
Yeah,
it inertia?
Yeah, I just wrote it down. You're not looking at the screen.
Oh,
See the game?
well, I have a question about this. Is it have to do with like when the concept of mass was created? It give like they were just going on a heliocentric worldview, trying to make it fit. Is that what mass is?
No, mass has no meaning. I'm just trying to point out that Max should have stopped. He should have put a period right there. That should have been a period. He should have not gone any further. These two statements are friggin' train wrecks. That, as I just showed you. What's another formula with mass in it? Those are the two most famous ones. Even though this one's debunked. F equal MA is debunked. We'll get into that on the next show. Even though I've done it like maybe 60, 70 times. People, I guess they forget.
Well,
Can we
with
have
mass
mass
not being-
equals
sorry.
weight times gravity?
That's where I was going. Yeah, W equals FA.
Why shouldn't I have put that down there anyway, right? Because weight equals mg love you long time, right?
Exactly.
Oh, I should have kept one. Oh, I should write them out. I should. I'll just do it. Weight equals mg, right? Oh, what's mass here? Mass is what?
The object that is being
Weight
given
divided by
weight via
gravity.
force of gravity.
Just times g over here. Just divide by g over here. And
Weight
divide by g over here. So that's weight
divided by gravity.
divided by g. Or not big G, little g. Right? Which formula,
Would it
Max?
be-
Hold on a second. Which formula is that, Max? These better equal all the same fucking thing, or we have an equivocation fallacy. We're deep inside equivocation fallacy and a law of identity violation. Aren't we? See the problems? Is there any other ones? I forgot about that one.
Well-
I should be indicted. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, it would be an unofficial one, but mass equals weight minus G, because mass
What?
is what they claim. Weight minus G.
Wait, mine.
Minus-
What formula is that?
Well, I'm just trying to work on the force of gravity period of time.
No, I need a
Well-
formula like these. These
E
are
equals
formulas.
MC
Yeah.
squared or
M
something.
equals M equals W minus G.
Are you talking about specific gravity?
Mass equals weight minus G? I've never seen that before. Where'd you get that at? I never seen that before. Brian, did you just make that shit up?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I just made it up. Within
Son of a bitch.
yeah, because that's what they're claiming. It's like because if weight equals mass times G, then mass has to equal weight minus G. It's just
What?
the opposite.
What?
Well, if if weight equals mass times G, then if weight equals mass times G, then mass has to equal weight minus G.
No, weight
Divided
over G.
by-
Divided by.
I
Sorry,
already got it.
divided by. Okay, sorry.
I already got it there,
what-
Brian.
What about Newtonians? The Newtonian train wreck they give us all the time. You know, big G is equal to M1.
That's not Newton's.
Right. Yeah, but they don't care. They just keep calling it that anyway. But
Yeah.
are you
Who did
looking
you-
for equations like that?
Who did you catch out with that specific one, QE? I vaguely remember you catching someone out with that.
Oh, it's hundreds.
I thought of another one. Moles is equal to mass divided by relative molecular mass.
Say that one more
Moles
time.
equal what?
Just one more time.
Moles is equal to mass divided by relative molecular mass.
Hold on, you've got to define mass in there, though.
Relative molecular mass. You're using mass over molecular mass.
I know. That's why I thought that was nice. To
Yeah.
give you the number of moles.
Well, it's nice if nobody asks you to define mass, right?
That's going to come out to mean mass is equal to moles times relative molecular mass.
It's not the definition of mole. But let me give you another one. So if
Moles is mass divided by relative molecular mass.
that's some silly shit, you fooled everyone. As soon as you said it, I said, "Are you smoking dope?" So if F equal ma, write it up. So if force equals ma and m is, let's use his definition here, the measure of resistance to changes in velocity. Changes in velocity is acceleration, so let's just reduce that also. So, and m is the measure distance to acceleration. And it still spelled it wrong. So if F equal ma and m is the measure of resistance to acceleration, then F equals the resistance to acceleration times acceleration. If you replace the definition or with the variables with the words, that's what it means. Force equals the resistance to acceleration times acceleration. That's what
Beautiful,
F
man.
equal ma is.
It's beautiful nonsense.
Yes, sir.
With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both G Plus and Gilded Panels for making today's after show and various assortment of live shows possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you currently watching in the members only live stream, or if you are watching this after the fact, for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!